Hi everyone, this is Adina here from Immigrant Finance. And for those of you who are new to our community, I'll introduce myself quickly. For those of you who have been part of it, you may have seen that recently our Instagram channel, Immigrant Finance, was disabled recently by Instagram. And unfortunately, we're not sure if we're going to be getting it back. So we have started a new account in the meantime, maybe short term, maybe long term, which is just at at immigrant.finance. I have to get used to saying that. And then we've also started a new account for our larger name of our LLC, of our business, and larger mission, which is called International Empowerment. And the Instagram for that is at international.empowerment. So I'll tell today in this episode the story of what happened with Instagram getting shut down, and really a lesson for you all as a reminder of why it's so important to not build your online business just on Instagram, because this can happen. It happened to us recently. It happened to one of our clients a few months ago. So we'll jump into that. But let me just quickly introduce myself for people who are new. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I'm so fortunate to have you here, and can't wait to connect with you. So, as I said again, I'm Adina. I am an immigration lawyer. I am a mom. I am a wife. And I am also a financial and online business coach for immigrant families and internationally minded, borderless people. So, my mission and our mission, Immigrant Finance, is really to be empowering more immigrants and their families to be building wealth, to be having financial stability, to be having more options and choices in their lives, and be able to spend more time with their families and work less and all of that. And I come from this from my personal experience with my husband, Mauricio, who I started Immigrant Finance with. He is an immigrant originally from Ecuador. He came here in 2013, and he goes by Mao as his nickname. When Mao came here, we really struggled financially because we couldn't find any resources anywhere to figure out what he as an immigrant could do or not do with his particular status at the time, and uncertainties with his status, changes in his status. There was no information in the personal finance blogs or books about what immigrants could do, and we really had to spend about 8 years piecing it all together, researching like crazy, talking to experts in various fields, to be able to answer some of these questions of whether he could do basic things like have a bank account or credit card, invest, buy a property, save for retirement, all of that. And so our goal has been to share what we've learned and create educational resources, and support and communities so that no one else has to go through that alone. So that's why we have our main program, Immigrant Finance School, which is an online course and group coaching program. Everyone in the group is an immigrant or a family member of an immigrant who is motivated to be starting to invest and learn how to manage money, increase income, start businesses, and build wealth. So that's a little bit about us. And like I said, today I'm going to be talking about why you can't have your online business just on Instagram. And I'm also going to introduce you all to our larger brand, the name of our LLC, International Empowerment, which is what Immigrant Finance falls under, and kind of how this was triggered by the whole Instagram shutdown we had recently. So, why this is important is because so many people I talk to who are starting online businesses, their whole business is just on Instagram. And when your business is on Instagram or Facebook, you don't own your audience. You don't own the contacts that you've been building your community. Mark Zuckerberg does, right? So it's not a sustainable business model to have because algorithms are constantly changing. People get shut down for no reason, right? And you can lose, like we just did with our Instagram account, 4 years of content we had built and about 1,600 people in our audience who are following our page, right? And so, like, it's definitely a setback, but fortunately for us, we knew this lesson that you can't have your whole business on one social media platform. So we've been on several platforms. We have our email list. We have other ways to contact our community members, students, and alumni. So at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal, but it can be a huge deal for someone whose whole business is just on Instagram. So I hope that this is a good reminder and lesson for you how important it is to actually build out the systems in your business and have a plan for your business so that at the end of the day, you're the one in charge of it. Because the only time you're going to actually own the names of like who is in your audience, who are your contacts, is through your own platforms, through your own email list, right? Not through social media channels. And when we talk about starting an online business, you don't want to be playing small, right? If you're playing small and just be like, well, just keep it on Instagram, see what happens, right? Or maybe one day I'll go on other platforms, or I'll take this seriously and invest in the systems and support I need to make this a real thing. You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're also doing the people that you're meant to help a disservice, because we are all meant to be helping people in some way. We're all put on this earth for a reason. You all hear me talk about this all the time if you follow the podcast or listen to other videos I've done. I really believe everyone has a purpose, and you have to take that seriously because there's people who need you and you're here for a reason, like I said. So don't play small. Don't just be on one platform where Mark Zuckerberg, some random dude, is the one owning it all and can just kick you off at any moment, right? You have to have a sustainable model of business and system so that you can build the platform you're meant to have to reach and help the people you're meant to help. And if that's something that you're like, I don't even know how to get started with that, we would love to support you. We offer free 30-minute consults. You can book anytime at immigrantfinance.com/consult, and we can get on and I can answer some initial questions for you, guide you to any resources. I can also tell you about our online business accelerator program that has helped a lot of our students be able to start the businesses of their dreams. And, that's a little bit about why this is important to not have your business just on Instagram. But I want to tell you all a crazy story in this episode that led to, at this point, I've kind of convinced myself, I think, that led to the Instagram getting disabled. And it's also triggered us announcing our larger business and platform and mission, international empowerment, because we've been operating online as immigrant finance the past 4 years. Many people know us in that realm, but and that is absolutely our focus, is focusing on immigrant families and empowering immigrant families with finance and business. But at some point, we always knew we would expand into like a larger brand of international empowerment, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be defining ourselves and people in our community by their immigration status. We're all just humans. And at the end of the day, this is the way the world is going, especially online. Borders are becoming irrelevant, right? And we have the most capacity we've ever had to make an impact and help people around the world and connect around the world, right? And we are really, really excited about being able to help an even broader community that's made up of a lot of immigrants and their families, but also doesn't force them to have to identify as immigrants to participate and be part of our community. We don't want to define it by those limiting terms that come from the very outdated immigration law systems. I don't care whether an immigration law like calls you an immigrant or not. To me, you're a human, right? And to me, you have infinite potential that I want to help you support. And so how can we help you support how can we help you be empowered and do that in on a level that doesn't matter what your status is or what borders are, right? And how can we be on an international level making an impact? So that's a little like context for how we have always thought of international empowerment. And I'll tell you why we started thinking about it recently. So here's the story how Instagram got shut down. So what was going on was, this was about, I don't even know, like a week or so ago. I can't even remember the timeline at this point. I had recently just completed the beta round, the first round for our online business accelerator program called Immigrant Finance Business School. We just finished the 6 months of the program with our first students, and it was like incredible. They each made so much headway and had such incredible personal growth and business growth. Several of them have been getting clients and getting paid well, for the offers they've developed, and are growing their businesses and are very clear on mission and what direction they're going. And in that process, I officially became an online business coach, right? Like I knew I wanted to be coaching people in online business because I'm very passionate about it and the opportunities it provides. But it's a little I mean, not a little, it's outside my comfort zone. Okay. So I had been doing the past several years financial coaching for immigrants and their families through our main program, Immigrant Finance School, which is really focused on managing money, investing, and learning to increase income. And there's some focus on online business development as a way to increase income, but it's at the end of the day not an online business development program. That's why we developed the second one, Immigrant Finance Business School, which is 6 months, dives super, super deep into just launching and growing and monetizing and expanding your online business. So I had been doing some online business coaching with the students in our first program for a while now, but it was really stepping up for me to do a full program just on online business. And it was one of the most challenging things I've ever done creating this program. Our students were amazing and really just like put themselves out there and were vulnerable to do the work and get the results. Um, but it was definitely outside my comfort zone to be creating this and teaching it. And I don't think I had taken time to really process that, right? And so the program had just ended. We were about to start the second group, which also is an amazing group. They are incredible. I just, before recording this, just finished the second coaching session with them, and they just blow me away. Oh my God. And they're so supportive of each other. But like at this point, I had kind of reached a new level, and there things had to shift around because I had this vision of stepping into this role of becoming a business coach and doing what I needed to do on a personal level to best support our clients who want to have businesses, which means me really owning that role of becoming their business coach. And I hadn't had time to process it. And we also hadn't been on a vacation for the past 2 years, really. We hadn't been on one without our young daughter. And so it had been 2 years that we've been like, working and growing immigrant finance and taking care of our now almost 2 year old daughter and just craziness, first time young parents. And this was the first vacation we went on last week where we were able to get some help, and my parents watched our daughter, and we got to just actually go on like a couple's vacation. And during this vacation, I was like reflecting a lot and working a lot on my own money mindset challenges that I'm always working on to be better and be able to help support better our clients and our students. And I was going through, there was this program that one of my coaches was running that same week. We're on vacation, and it was like an hour video each day to listen to, and a Facebook group. So it was really exactly what I needed. It support I needed to really work through a particular limiting belief. I'll tell you more about that. I had been really working through the past several months, but was ready to finally like release and say goodbye to it and step into the next level, of myself personally, and step more into abundance. And so I was doing this program while we were on this trip in Mexico on vacation. And it turned out the program was incredibly, incredibly powerful. And what I ended up getting clarity on is that one of my money mindset beliefs that I was ready to let go is like the worrying about money, fear of not having enough money. I mean, I talk about this a lot in the podcast. This is something that I understand has been passed down to me from my own immigrant family through generations of my great grandparents coming here as refugees fleeing everything, for their lives, coming here with nothing, being in really serious poverty, and really struggling to survive in this country, and having to always worry about money for a while, right? And how that was passed down generations, even when things got more stable for my family. And so when I realized the more I've stepped into being a financial coach, first of all, besides me, I've realized how money mindset is 99% of personal finance and building wealth. Like, it is all about your mindset, and learning to shift beliefs and thoughts that are limiting you from your potential and your abundance and the wealth that you can have, right? So I already work a lot on mindset with our students. We have a whole module on money mindset in our immigrant finance school program. It's like the number one thing we talk about in the coaching, besides all the practical stuff, right? And helping people shift through those limiting beliefs. And so I really got clarity through this program and several other programs I've been doing in the past year of how much this old story was really holding me back, in terms of playing out on a subconscious level with like decisions I make. Just that fear about money just like kept coming up in a way I didn't even really realize how much it was affecting my life. And I realized through this program that week while we were on vacation. And one of the assignments in this program was to like literally, there's a lot of self reflection journaling exercises. And one of the assignments was to literally write down some of your old beliefs and stories from the past year that have been holding you back, and that you want to release and let go of. And it wasn't just this superficial thing like, just write it down, whatever. There was a whole process over several days for a week to really help you get clarity on those in a level I hadn't reached before. And so we had to write it down, and then we had to throw it in a fire and literally burn it. At first I thought this is so silly. Like, okay, I'll do everything they're saying, but I'm not going to actually go throw it in a fire. I don't need to do that. Right. And then in the Facebook group, the coach was like calling out people who were skipping that step, and skipping some other really important steps, and challenging us like, what's making you, not want to do that. And I realized I wasn't ready to like actually let go of that belief. My subconscious was really holding on to that fear, and I was scared to let it go. So I decided I was going to throw it in a fire. And it took me a few days. Actually, I was like 3 days behind in the week-long course from doing this step, because I had to get mentally prepared to throw out that belief of worrying about money. And that I was taking it very seriously. And I was like, okay, if I do this, that means that I'm not going to make decisions anymore from freaking out about money. And I'm really going to have to commit to this action. So it took me 3 days to get the courage up. And I, had to get in the right mindset and all that. And then I finally did it. And I went through my whole internal process. And I wrote it down, and I threw it in this fire. And it just felt like, right. And I was ready when I did it. And then literally 2 minutes later, 2 minutes after I do that, I look at my phone and I get a notice from our virtual assistant who logs into our Instagram account and helps out, who is based in El Salvador. I get a notice from her that the Instagram is not letting her log in, and there's an issue. And so I go and log in, and it's not letting me either. And it says there's like a security issue. And I still don't know what that was. I suspect it sounds like because I was logging in from Mexico and she was logging in from El Salvador, that like having people in two countries, it raised a security flag. I don't know. Like, I still can't figure out what happened. And I'm, went through the like appeal process they have, and waiting to hear back. I don't know if I'll ever hear back. But yeah, it won't let us log in, and it disabled the account. And it's just like crazy to me when it happened, because I somehow was able to realize like, okay, this is a test. I just made this huge money mindset decision and shift to throw out my number one limiting belief and literally burn it. And then this happens 2 minutes later. Right. And like prior to that, I would have completely freaked out because we've been building our Instagram for 4 years, right? That's where we connect the most with people in our community. That's where we've connected with a lot of people who have become coaching students of ours, right? And so prior to this decision, it would have been something that would have really triggered my fears about money. But I caught myself and I said, this is a test. The timing is too coincidental, right? That like the second you make that decision, this happens. And we have to focus on trust and faith. And there's a reason this happened. And thankfully, I was in a really good headspace when it happened. And I also thought about how the same thing happened to one of our business coaching students a few months ago and what I told her. And what I told her was like, it's a sign. You just have to trust it's a sign. It's just telling you that like you need to make sure you focus your business in a more sustainable way and not just have it all on Instagram, and make sure you've got, your website and your email list, you're on other platforms, right? And so I also was like, well, if I told her that, I have to listen to my own advice, or otherwise I wouldn't be in integrity if I'm advising her that, but I don't take the same advice myself, to just trust that it's a sign. So I really was like, okay, I am not going to freak out about this. This happened for a reason. I might not know what the reason is now. I still don't know quite it is, but I have some ideas. But I have to trust that this will make sense later. And this is the one of the most powerful things you can do with mindset, actually, when challenges happen, is to know they're happening for a reason, because everything happens for a reason, right? And to focus on trust and faith instead of going down that path of fear that I could have easily gone into. I was just lucky that when this happened, I had just made a huge commitment to not do that, so I didn't go down that path. So what that meant was that I couldn't freak out about it. And I mean, I just want to recognize too, like, I know this is incredibly privileged for me to even have the choice to make, to decide I don't want to worry about money anymore. It's incredibly privileged, and to have the choice to not freak out about our Instagram getting shut down. I know a lot of people that would ruin their business. So I totally recognize that. But the reason I'm sharing this is because I talk to a lot of you in our community who struggle with the exact same thing. So I want to share this with you because I know that for many of you, mindset is the number one thing holding you back. And it's also the greatest change you can make on your building a wealth journey. It's those underlying beliefs that affect the way you think about everything, that affect every decision you make, right? That affect how you react to opportunities, whether you see opportunities, affect how you believe in yourself and what you believe is possible for yourself. So I want to share this with you in case it helps you to realize at the end of the day, it can just be a decision. It can be a choice. It wasn't easy. I told you, like, I've gone through a year of a lot of struggle on money mindset stuff, that you probably heard me talk about in other episodes if you've listened, that got triggered when my husband Mal left his job to take care of our daughter. My mind really, really freaked out about losing the so-called security and safety of a salary, of a paycheck coming from his prior job, even though we were actually going to be more secure by him making that decision, and him being able to work on our business more, right? Doing what's best for our family. That I knew all of that at the time, but my brain could not handle the fact that, like, I've been told my whole life having a 9 to 5 job is stability. So anyway, I just tell you that context, that kind of what triggered my money mindset stuff that was going on for the past year, that I've been working on, and why I've been doing so many programs and working with so many coaches on these issues to really work through that. And I've learned so much that I've been able to help our students with from all this and from my experiences. So um, I share all this again to just really emphasize, at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be so complicated. It can just be a decision when you're ready, when you have the right support to get you there, that you get clarity on what your main limiting belief is, and you go through a process to say goodbye to it, and to not let something that is really holding you back dominate your life anymore. So yeah, when the Instagram got disabled, knew I saw it was a test. I saw I couldn't back down on the commitment I just made, and I made that decision. I was just going to trust this happened for a reason. And I'm not gonna lie, I definitely have had some moments since then where I got scared. I thought about how hard we worked to build that account for the past 4 years, and the context we may have lost, right? But at the end of the day, I am just choosing trust. And I do really feel that it was so coincidental. And when it happened, right after I threw that in the fire, that there was some big shift that happened. There was a major energetic shift that happened when I made that decision to throw my number one limiting belief into the fire and really mean it. um that of course something like exploded, right? And I was talking about it with one of my coaches, and she's like, oh yeah, every time I up level that happened. She's like, yeah, the last time I up leveled and I decided I was going to start making, whatever her goal was, like 30,000 in her business a month or something. She's like, I made that decision, and then that day my laptop broke and I had to go buy a new laptop. And so apparently this is a thing, like when you make big shifts and you up level, there's usually some kind of thing that can happen that can be a test, and it's like, really? Do you really mean that? Do you really mean what you said? I'm going to test you and make sure. I've heard it referred to before as a kickback. It's just kind of a way the universe just kind of reinforcing for you that decision, and helping you prove to yourself you are really committed to that. And so that's how I view what happened. And at the end of the day, it's inconvenient, but we'll be fine. We'll be able to keep serving people and helping people through immigrant finance because we're on multiple platforms. We have our website. We have our community on our email list, right? we we just opened some other Instagram accounts that we'll start from scratch from. And who knows, maybe it also was because we need to have a new type of energy on our Instagram account now that we've been making some big shifts and up leveling in some ways, and getting more clear about our purpose and how we're helping people. Maybe it's time to start from scratch and not have, I don't know, if you want to think about all the like baggage of 4 years of trying to figure that out, or yeah. So I hope this is interesting for you guys to hear about, and just think about sometimes these things that can seem really negative or like problems can actually not necessarily be. They may just be kind of signs. They're showing you the importance of a decision you just made, that are helping you recommit, that are guiding you to a different direction. Maybe it was also a sign we need to focus less on Instagram and build out our platform in other channels, right? So there's lots of good lessons that come from this. And at the end of the day, it won't be a big deal because we knew not to just have our whole business just on Instagram. But I wanted to get this message out there because so many of you I talk to who are starting businesses, you have it all just on Instagram. And that's not the best way to be protecting yourself and growing something that you want to be sustainable to really help people, and be able to survive any hiccups that happen with algorithm changes or accounts getting disabled or whatever. You want your business to be able to withstand those things. So make sure you're not playing small and just treating it as a hobby. And it's time to actually create what you're meant to create and build it out in a way that's going to withstand those challenges that happen. And work on the money mindset stuff that gets in the way to getting there. I mean, a lot of that journey of taking your business seriously and making the investments to build out systems and be on other platforms and make it a real online business, we can get stopped from all those because we're just like, oh, it's just a little thing I'm doing on the side. It's just a side hustle. It's just a hobby. I'm just doing this to share what I'm learning. But if you feel the need to share, your experience, and you have a message to share and a voice that's calling you, that means there's people that need to hear it. And there's people who are going to miss out on it, whose lives you could be changing if you play small. So it's so important to take it seriously and structure your business and build your business in a way that's going to allow you to be able to help those people. So ultimately, a big takeaway from this experience, besides, that I was able to see it was a test and get through, not letting myself get too worried about the Instagram account getting disabled, right? Is ultimately, it also brought us to think about maybe this is a good time to start talking about our larger vision for international empowerment. And the our main account on Instagram was shut down. We started two new accounts. Like I said in the beginning, we have now immigrant.finance will be the new immigrant finance page. Or if the other one somehow gets open, I guess we'll go back to that. I'm not sure right now. And then we have a second one that's at international.empowerment. And I was starting to talk about what international empowerment is. I want to just be very, very transparent, that we don't know where it's going and we don't know what it's going to look like. And that's part of the fun of building and creating something and being a creator, is that you don't know what it's going to lead to, and you have to follow your instinct and your purpose and your passion and see where it leads you, right? And so a lot of it is about trust and faith. And when we first set up an LLC for immigrant finance back in 2018, it was going to be called Immigrant Finance. And it was actually my mom who was like, you may want to do something a little broader because you just never know, and maybe things will evolve and you just don't know what's going to happen. And I was a little offended when she said that. Actually, I was like, what do you mean? This is our vision. We're going to empower immigrants. We have all this stuff we've learned from our experience we can help them with, right? And she's like, I know, but just you don't know how things are going to look in like 5 years or 10 years, right? And so I did take her feedback, and when we decided the name for our LLC, we ended up calling it International Empowerment LLC instead of Immigrant Finance, to allow that flexibility. And that's something that I recommend to all of our business coaching students when they're making their LLCs, to have a name that's going to allow for a little flexibility, because you don't know how things are going to evolve. And as a creator, you don't know where it's going to take you when you're creating. So yeah, this was an opportunity to start talking about international empowerment. I've kind of had a nagging feeling starting to come up that there's more people who need our help and want our help, who are in the similar boat, as immigrants and their families, and they're internationally minded and as well, and they've lived in different countries and they have family in different countries, and they understand different cultures and they see beyond borders, and like everything, is so similar to what a lot of immigrants and their families experience, but they may not actually be immigrants themselves. I've had a lot of people in that boat who have reached out to me and been like, I would love to do one of your programs. This is exactly what I need. This is exactly what I need help with, but I'm not an immigrant. And I've had to kind of say, sorry, that what we're offering is really for the immigrant community and their family members. There has to be some kind of connection, because that's really important to us for our programs, that everyone in the immigrant finance programs is surrounded by others who are immigrants and family members of immigrants. But I knew there's like this larger, related, broader thing that's still focused on people in the international community that I was feeling drawn toward. And that, I guess in the back of my mind when we made the LLC name, I maybe always knew, but didn't realize it, of where things could be going. So yeah, I don't know where it's going and what we'll be creating, but I know there's people I've connected with who are internationally minded, like the immigrant community, and want to be part of our community but don't quite fit in. So I'm hoping we can create a home, that can fit everybody through international empowerment, and also doesn't have to label people as immigrants, because that ultimately comes from this idea of borders and immigration laws, which are inherently strict and exclude people, right? And so I'm also interested in exploring, like, what does that look like to be working with people in the immigrant community and their families, and not having to like label them that way, and talking about it in a more broad way, where of uniting people who are internationally focused, and how can we empower that community. So we'll see where it's going. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any reactions to this, what you think about the international empowerment concept, please reach out and tell me. It would be so helpful to hear your thoughts. I know it sounds very vague and amorphous right now. I'm totally owning that. I'm not trying to say that we have a very clear idea of what that's going to look like, but part of me thinks maybe that was part of why the Instagram shutdown happened, so that we can step into that kind of next level of how we're trying to help people in our vision, because ultimately we want to see immigrants and their families empowered, like regardless of their status. And that means, being united with and connected with other people around the world who also are like that, regardless of what their immigration situation is or what the particular immigration laws are in that country. So, I did take another leap of faith with this and filed for the third trademark now for what we're doing for international empowerment. That was something I also felt like, oh, we need to do this, but I didn't really know what it was going to look like. Taking a leap of faith, and just trusting that there's something there that we're meant to be creating. And I just thank you for being on this journey with us to explore that and see where it goes, and hope this lesson is important for you, to wrap up of, don't have your online business just on Instagram or just on one platform, whether it's TikTok or YouTube, whatever. You want to have it sustainably structured on various platforms and have your own email list, so that you're the one in control of your business, not some Mark Zuckerberg. It's also to, have the courage and get the support and guidance you need to make big mindset shifts that you need to go to the next level, even when it's really scary, even when it takes months and months and months of coaching, to not give up on yourself, because that's how you're going to be able to grow and do the work you're meant to do and help people and fulfill your ultimate purpose while you're here. And that sometimes there's going to be a kickback when you do that. In fact, oftentimes when you go up to the next level, there's some kind of kickback. There's some kind of test that's going to be like, did you really mean that? Did you really mean that with that new commitment you're making? And to see it that way, see it as a sign, and not let it bring you down, and not let it throw you off track of where you're going. So that is the episode for today. If you enjoyed hearing more a little bit about this story of throwing the biggest money mindset fear into the fire, and then having your Instagram you built 4 years shut down, and then bringing out your larger vision and have no idea where it's going, like this is the messy stuff of online business and creating something and going on the journey of figuring out what your potential is, that I go on with our students in our programs, and that I love doing. It is such an honor to support our students when they're doing this themselves, and that's why I'm sharing this story, because I want to be transparent and vulnerable and help you all know it's not just you that goes through these things that happen. It's not just you that have big limiting beliefs. It's not just you that experiences challenges. Like, we all go through it. We all need to talk about these things more and share and support each other, because it's not just all perfect, easy, with online business. It's messy, especially when you're trying to do the actual work of making an impact and helping people. There's not a clear path. There's not you do step A and then step B and then step C, like go to school, get a good job, right? All that, like it's more messy, and it is a journey, and there's a way to do it, and there's been many people who've been able to go through that journey, if they're as long as they're open to like the uncertainty and the messiness of it. If you can handle that, or at least be up for it and be up for the emotions that brings, like you can create something so incredible that is your life's work, that's your purpose, that can really, really help people. I've seen enough people do it now. I've worked with enough people in our community to help them do it, that I am 100% certain it is possible if you're willing to go there. And that's something I would love to support you with. So reach out at immigrantfinance.com/consult, and I can help you start thinking through this in next steps. Take care, and thank you so much. Bye.